if there's insulin on the skin, that means that it didn't go inside.
Happy 4 months.
So now I learned, now I do it myself. I go, then I go like that. That's really cool. Okay, what is that?
I've got to be honest, this is kind of a boring weapon. Design-wise, it's ugly. A couple of rectangles overlapped, like a gun drawn by a child. And yet, for some reason, it's quite popular. The Glock, a polymer-framed pistol hailing from Austria, and perhaps the most successful of the Wonder Nines. So, how did an obscure Austrian plastic manufacturer have such an impact on the arms industry? What was so special about Glock's design? And are they really invisible to X-rays?
They are.
During World War II, Austria's service pistol was the Walther P38, a perfectly serviceable semi-auto pistol, and it retained its role for some time after the war. However, by the late 1970s, there were better alternatives.
The PP7.
And the Austrian armed forces began seeking a replacement pistol in 1980. The most likely contender at this time was the Steyr GB, designed in 1968 and boasting some novel features, but it faced stiff competition from other European manufacturers such as Beretta and xQc.
That looks like a
Surely the
5.7.
Austrians would select a homegrown weapon, and Steyr were pretty much the only Austrian arms manufacturer going. It was a shoo-in. However, there was an outsider. A man named Gaston Glock. He was the founder of a small manufacturing company based in Deutsche Wagram that made polymer products, originally curtain rods and doorknobs. By the late 1970s, Glock had found a niche in products for the military, entrenching tools, knives and disintegrating links. They'd never made any firearms before, but when Glock caught wind of the upcoming tender for a replacement pistol, he decided to design his own.
Jesus, did.
He was guided by the standard set by the Austrian Ministry of Defense. The new weapon had to be a 9mm semi-auto, high capacity, ambidextrous, drop safe, easy to maintain,
Did you miss it? No, we're
and
gonna
of
finish the game
simple,
today.
interchangeable construction. Unhindered by any preconception or existing
I kind of want
tooling,
to skip it.
this was an entirely new pistol designed to an exacting specification.
It gets better a little bit.
He called it the Glock 17, as it was his 17th invention. That its magazine capacity was 17 rounds was serendipity.
It's a good video though.
In 1982, Glock submitted his handgun
learning.
design to the Austrian military for testing,
Dan's game.
where it would be up against heavyweights such as xQc's P220 and 226, H&K's P7, and the Beretta 92. The prize was an order of 25,000 units. And somehow, the rank outsider clinched it. Glock's design proved its capability, outperforming all of its
you won.
rivals. Now, the Americans had just settled on the Beretta, so news of a hitherto unknown name in firearms beating established manufacturers was surprising, to say the least. There was concern that the high-capacity magazine would prove useful for criminals, and that the plastic frame would be invisible on airport X-ray machines. It was described as tailor-made for terrorists.
Jesus.
However, most of these fears were unfounded. The metal components of the Glock are still quite recognizable as a firearm, and by now, high-capacity weapons were the norm. Eventually, the resistance to the Glock dissipated. After all, you can't keep a good design down, and more police and military forces realized the Glock's potential, with the weapon seeing rapid adoption throughout the 1990s.
That's kind of cool.
The plastic pistol from Austria was ready for the silver screen. Die Hard 2 wasn't the first film the Glock made an appearance in, but it's probably the first memorable one. The fictional Glock 7 is described as a porcelain gun made in Germany that doesn't show up on your airport X-ray machines and costs more than what you make in a month. The quote is wrong on almost every count, but the gun was new and it was cool. As its popularity surged, the Glock became an increasingly common sight, often seen in the hands of fictional law enforcement, such as in RoboCop 3 The Fugitive, and Beverly Hills Cop 3. Fellow Austrian Arnold Schwarzenegger was reportedly a fan, and the Glock makes an appearance in True Lies, Eraser, and End of Days.
Guys, it's just a
Even
name,
the
okay?
word Glock
Relax.
itself
it's a name,
became
okay?
a byword for firepower,
Jesus.
a frequent reference in gangster rap, such as Ice-T's OG Original Gangster, Dr. Dre's Let Me Ride, and Ice Cube's You Know How We Do It. Right from the start, the pistol has refused stereotype. Civilian, police, military, terrorist, gangbanger.
Okay,
The
chat.
Glock is for everyone. This universal appeal was helped by a large number of variants. Model numbers starting...
Okay, chat. Chat, that's a good. Chat. I'm just gonna do the rest. I'm doing it, chat. I'm doing it. I'm skipping it.
A wrong call at first.